They grew up in the same house, under the same leaking roof on the south side of Columbus, Ohio, but the world had always treated them differently. Even as kids, people noticed it. Marcus was the golden one. Teachers smiled when he spoke. Coaches slapped his back. Adults called him a natural leader before he'd even learned how to shave. Daniel, 2 years younger, was quieter, sharper in ways no one bothered to look for. He watched more than he talked. He learned early that attention was a limited resource, and Marcus seemed to consume it effortlessly. Their father, Ray, worked double shifts at a tire plant until his hands cracked and bled. Their mother, Lillian, held the family together with patience and prayers. When money was tight, Marcus got the new sneakers because he played varsity ball. Daniel got hand-me-downs because he didn't need them as much. Nobody ever said they loved Marcus more. They didn't have to. As teenagers, the gap widened. Marcus was charisma wrapped in muscle, the kind of guy who walked into a room and bent the air around him. Daniel was the one who stayed up late teaching himself code on a second-hand laptop, the glow of the screen reflecting in eyes that learned to hide disappointment. Marcus went to parties. Daniel went to work after school. Marcus crashed cars and got forgiven. Daniel made one mistake and carried it like a scar. When their father died suddenly of a heart attack, everything changed and nothing did. Marcus dropped out of college for a semester and talked about finding himself. Daniel dropped out permanently and took a warehouse job to help their mother pay bills. Marcus eventually went back to school. Daniel never did. He told himself it was fine. Someone had to be responsible. Years later, Marcus returned home polished and confident, wearing tailored suits and talking about investments and real estate. He reinvented himself as a self-made entrepreneur, the kind that smiled for photos and said words like hustle and legacy. Daniel watched from the edges, still in Columbus, still grinding through long nights fixing servers for a logistics company that barely knew his name. When their mother fell sick, Marcus came back again, this time with urgency in his voice. He insisted they sell the house to pay for her treatment and move her somewhere better. Daniel hesitated. That house was everything they had left, but Marcus had numbers, projections, and a way of speaking that made resistance feel childish. Daniel signed the papers. Lillian died 6 months later. The treatment helped until it didn't. The house was gone. The money was gone too, swallowed by fees, bad investments, and one final transaction Daniel hadn't fully understood until it was too late. Marcus owned the remaining assets now. He told Daniel it was just business and promised to help him get back on his feet. Help never came. Instead, Daniel found himself evicted from his apartment after Marcus quietly pulled out as a co-signer. His calls went unanswered. His texts stayed unread. Marcus had moved on, building a public image of success and resilience, telling interviewers how losing his parents had taught him independence. Something hardened inside Daniel then. Not rage, not yet, something colder. A realization that fairness was a myth people like Marcus used when it suited them. Daniel moved into a studio on the east side, the kind of place with thin walls and a deadbolt that never quite caught. At night, he dug through old files, bank statements, emails Marcus had once CC'd him on without thinking. Patterns emerged. Shell companies, inflated valuations, investors who'd vanished after lawsuits quietly settled. Marcus wasn't a genius. He was a thief with a smile. Daniel didn't confront him. He didn't warn him. He built something instead. He reached out to people Marcus had burned, not as a brother, but as a consultant offering help tracking lost assets. He used burner emails and clean accounts. He followed the money the way he'd followed code for years, patiently, precisely. Each discovery fed the next. Each secret felt like a brick laid carefully into a structure only Daniel could see. Marcus, meanwhile, expanded. He bought a condo downtown. He posted motivational quotes online. He started dating a local news anchor who loved his story of humble beginnings and personal grit. The world applauded him. Daniel stayed invisible. When the first anonymous tip hit the state attorney's office, Marcus laughed it off. He dealt with complaints before. Nothing ever stuck. But this one was different. It came with documents, screenshots, a roadmap that even a lazy investigator couldn't ignore. Audits followed, quiet at first, then louder. Marcus called Daniel after months of silence, his voice tight but still smooth. He asked if Daniel had heard anything. Daniel said no. He meant it in the purest sense. He hadn't heard. He'd orchestrated. As pressure mounted, Marcus began to unravel. Deals fell through. His girlfriend stopped returning calls. His investors demanded explanations he couldn't spin fast enough. He hired lawyers who charged by the hour and promised miracles they couldn't deliver. Daniel watched it all from a distance, sipping burnt coffee in his studio, scrolling through public records. He didn't celebrate. Revenge wasn't a rush. It was a slow exhale. When Marcus finally showed up at Daniel's door, he looked smaller, older. The suit was gone, replaced by a wrinkled jacket and eyes that darted like trapped animals. He didn't knock at first. He leaned his forehead against the door, then knocked twice, softly, like a man asking for mercy without wanting to admit it. Daniel let him in. Marcus talked for an hour. He blamed partners, the economy, bad luck. He even blamed Daniel once indirectly for never being supportive. When he finally stopped, his voice cracked. He asked for help. Daniel listened. He thought about their childhood, the sneakers, the house, their mother's smile fading in a hospital bed. He thought about how Marcus had never asked if Daniel was okay, not once. "I already helped you," Daniel said quietly. Marcus frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means I let you believe you were untouchable," Daniel replied. "That was the help." The truth hit Marcus slowly, like cold water seeping through clothes. His mouth opened, then closed. He backed away as if distance could undo what had already happened. "You did this," he whispered. Daniel didn't deny it. He didn't gloat either. "I finished it," he said. "You started it." Marcus left without another word. The trial didn't make national news, but it didn't need to. Marcus was convicted on multiple counts of fraud and sentenced to years he'd once joked only happened to careless people. His name became a cautionary tale in business blogs. His legacy collapsed into a paragraph of shame. Daniel testified once, briefly, as a financial expert. He never mentioned their relationship. He didn't need to. Blood didn't excuse betrayal. After it was over, Daniel took a better job in another city. He rented a place with windows that faced the sunrise. Sometimes, late at night, he thought about Marcus. Not with hatred, but with a distant sadness, like remembering a storm that destroyed a house you'd already left. Revenge hadn't healed everything. It hadn't brought their parents back. It hadn't rewritten the past. But it had restored something Daniel thought he'd lost forever. Balance. And for the first time in his life, he slept without feeling smaller than the world.